Once upon a time, in a forgotten corner of a mystical kingdom, there existed a legendary sword. This sword was said to possess unimaginable power, capable of granting its wielder unparalleled strength and victory in battle. But with power came a dark secret that sent chills down the spines of all who encountered it. Legend spoke of a long-forgotten king who had possessed the sword centuries ago. With its might, he had conquered lands and vanquished enemies, but the sword's malevolence consumed him. It whispered wicked thoughts in his ear, urging him to commit unspeakable acts of cruelty. The king's reign became one of terror, his once noble heart twisted by the sword's dark influence. Eventually, the kingdom's greatest warriors banded together to seize the cursed weapon. With great effort, they managed to bury the sword deep within the heart of an enchanted forest, hoping to lock away its evil forever. Years passed, and the tales of the cursed sword faded into legend. But as time wore on, a sinister force began to stir within the forest. The once lush trees withered, and an eerie fog settled over the land. Stories of disappearances and haunting whispers spread throughout the kingdom, all pointing back to the forgotten sword. One fateful day, a young knight named Edward, driven by ambition and thirst for glory, stumbled upon the forest's edge. He had heard whispers of the sword's existence and was determined to claim its power for himself. Ignoring the warnings of the villagers, he ventured deep into the treacherous woods, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. As Edward penetrated deeper into the forest, the air grew heavy, and an unnerving silence enveloped him. His steps echoed with an eerie resonance, as if the forest itself was watching and waiting. The branches twisted and contorted like gnarled fingers, reaching out in a haunting dance. Finally, Edward stumbled upon a clearing, bathed in an otherworldly glow. And there, in the center, stood the sword, embedded in a stone pedestal. Its blade shimmered with an ethereal light, calling to him like a siren's song. Despite the chilling aura surrounding the weapon, Edward's desire for power overwhelmed his caution. With trembling hands, he reached for the hilt and pulled the sword free. As the sword came loose, a piercing scream tore through the air, sending shivers down Edward's spine. The once idyllic forest transformed into a nightmarish realm, filled with twisted creatures that slithered and writhed in the shadows. The sword whispered seductive promises of victory and glory, its voice filled with a sinister charm. Edward felt a surge of newfound strength coursing through his veins, but it came at a price. The sword's dark presence wormed its way into his mind, filling his thoughts with malice and bloodlust. Edward became a force of destruction, his blade thirsting for blood. He ravaged villages, leaving a trail of devastation and despair in his wake. The kingdom trembled under his reign, and whispers of a cursed knight spread like wildfire. But unknown to Edward, a group of wise sages had been studying the legend of the cursed sword. They discovered a long-lost spell, said to banish the sword's evil once and for all. A brave group of warriors set out on a perilous quest, venturing into the heart of the forest. Guided by ancient texts, they reached the clearing where Edward now stood, consumed by madness. With a surge of collective strength, the warriors chanted the incantation, their voices filled with determination and hope. The air crackled with magic, and a blinding light enveloped the clearing. When the light faded, Edward found himself kneeling, his grip on the sword released. The cursed weapon lay before him, motionless and silent. The sages had succeeded in breaking its hold over him. Filled with remorse and despair, Edward realized the magnitude of his actions. The weight of the lives he had destroyed settled upon his soul like a heavy burden. He vowed to spend the rest of his days seeking redemption, to atone for the darkness he had unleashed. And so, the cursed sword remained forever trapped within the enchanted forest, its whispers silenced by the sage's powerful spell. The tale of Edward's fall from grace and his subsequent quest for redemption became a cautionary legend, a reminder that power, when wielded without wisdom, could lead to the most devastating of consequences. From that day forward, the kingdom lived in fear, never venturing near the cursed forest. The haunting whispers of the sword continued to echo in the wind, a chilling reminder that the thirst for power could drive even the noblest souls to madness.